All right, let's get right into it. When a major incident hits, the system's down, customers are freaking out, our first instinct is to just fix the problem, right? But what if I told you that fixing the technical issue is really only half the battle? Today, we're going to tackle that other half, the one that can be way more stressful, talking to leadership without completely losing control of the situation or your credibility.
See, you've got this thing happening where your engineering teams are deep in the trenches, right? They're wrestling with servers, they're digging through code, but at the exact same time, there's this completely different battle going on, and that's the leadership battle. They aren't seeing the logs or the error rates, they're seeing the business impact, the angry customer tweets, the money flying out the window, and they've got questions that need answers, and fast.
And this is where the stakes get just incredibly high. Because if you can't translate all that technical chaos into a clear, confident message for your leaders, you're not just creating a little confusion. You are actively destroying trust. You lose your credibility, and let me tell you, once that's gone, it is so hard to get back. Your communication isn't just an update, it is a core part of the incident response.
So to figure out how to get this right, we've got to first understand the fundamental problem at the heart of pretty much every communication breakdown during an incident. I like to call it the leadership language gap.
This right here is that language gap in action. On one side, you have engineers reporting exactly what they see. Hey, we're seeing increased IOPS, or there's some high query contention, or we're checking the logs. But what leadership hears is something totally different. Their brain automatically translates that jargon into business problems. How many customers are actually affected by this? Are we losing money right now? And of course, when is this going to be fixed? It's like they're speaking two completely different languages. And this is where you come in. During an incident, you have to become the major incident manager, even if that's not your official title. You're the bridge. You are the official translator who can take all those complicated technical details from one side and turn them into clear, concise, business-focused information for the other. It's a seriously critical role.
So how do you actually do this translation, especially when you're under a ton of pressure? Well, you don't need some complex, fancy system. All you really need is a simple but really powerful framework that I promise you will answer exactly what leadership needs to know every single time.
The whole thing boils down to just 4 questions. That's it. Number 1, what is the issue? And be simple about it. Users are unable to complete payments. Number 2, what is the impact? Get specific. About 70% of our transactions are failing. 3, what is being done? Focus on the action. The database team is investigating. And 4, and this is probably the most important one, when is the next update? You'll have another update from me in 15 minutes. No jargon, no guessing, just the facts.
All right, so let's see how this framework actually plays out in the real world. Theory is great and all, but seeing it in action is what's going to make it stick. We're going to compare what bad communication sounds like versus what good, totally in control communication sounds like. Now, before we get to the examples, let's quickly cover the common traps people fall into. First up, overloading them with technical details they just don't need or understand. Second, giving fuzzy timelines like soon or we're hoping to fix it in a bit. That just kills trust. Third, just staying silent. No news is always bad news in an incident. It creates a vacuum, and leadership will fill that vacuum with pure panic. And finally, just sounding unsure. Your tone says just as much as your words.
Now listen to this. Does this sound a little familiar? Yeah, so we are still checking, database might be the issue. Not fully sure, team is looking into it. This is the default for so many of us when we're under pressure. It's just full of words like might and maybe, and it gives them almost zero useful information. It's an update that just creates more questions than it answers. Let's just put that statement under a microscope for a second. What is so wrong with it? Well, there's absolutely no clarity on the problem or who it's affecting. There's no ownership, it sounds super passive, and maybe worst of all, there is zero confidence. When a leader hears this, they have every right to assume that things are completely out of control, and that's exactly when they start blowing up your phone and escalating to everyone. Okay, now contrast that with this. Just listen to the difference in tone. It's calm, it's structured, it's factual. It perfectly answers our 4 questions. What's the issue? Users can't complete payments. What's being done? Our teams found some database latency. And when's the next update? 10 minutes. See, it projects total control.
So what's the magic here? Well, it's not magic, it's just discipline. The update is crystal clear, right? It uses simple language, no tech speak. It's structured, following a pattern that leaders are actually going to get used to. And because of that clarity and structure, it just radiates confidence. You're not saying the problem is fixed, But you are saying, don't worry, we have this under control.
Okay, so now that we've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly, let's boil all of this down into an actual playbook. These are the rules you can take with you and use in your very next incident.
Here are your golden rules. 1. Always use simple language, no jargon. Period. 2. Keep your updates short and stick to the structure. 3. Stick to the facts. Don't guess about the root cause. 4. Never, ever guess a timeline. It is so much better to say we don't have an ETA yet than to give a guess and be wrong. And finally, always give a time for the next update. This one is non-negotiable. It's how you control the conversation. As the incident moves along, your updates can get even shorter and more frequent. This is a perfect example of a mid-incident update. It clearly shows you're making progress, a long-running query identified, and that you're taking action. Mitigation is in progress, and, most importantly, it resets the clock for the next update, which keeps leadership in the loop and stops them from interrupting your teams.
And finally, you gotta close the loop. Announce the resolution clearly. But notice what else this message does. It sets expectations for what happens next. We're gonna monitor for a bit, and a detailed root cause analysis will be shared later. This shows that you're not just fixing the immediate problem, you're also learning from it so it doesn't happen again.
So the bottom line is this: if you want to be a leader, or even just be seen as one, this skill is not a nice to have. In a crisis, your ability to communicate with clarity and confidence becomes your most powerful and your most visible skill. It's literally what separates the technicians from the true incident commanders.
So I'll just leave you with this one question. The next major incident, it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it strikes, sure, your technical skills are going to be tested, but your leadership, that's going to be defined by how you communicate. So, who's going to be in control? You or the chaos?